second activity under the project called Voicing the Voiceless Minorities. The project initiated by Dr. Amporn Martin from my faculty at the Thammasat University. And this project is aimed to support the advancement of the civil rights, reduce the inequality and promote women's participation in the conflict resolution for peace. And this project is supported by the Center for Contemporary Social and Cultural Studies of the Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology, Thammasat University. So the book, Active Life, Stories of Three Women in Asia, is very much in line with the project, the aim of this project, because it is the result of 2 years of work by Dr. Anna Gretel, who serves as the author, the editor, and the translator of the book. And the book aims to connect geographically distant social movements between Asia and Latin America, which from her perspective may not as different as we all assume. And the content of the book covers the life stories related to social activism, gender issues, and spirituality. So she interviewed the Asian women who she met during her research in Thailand in 2022. These women are the venerable Bhikkhuni Thammananta, Monira Achan, and Dr. Amporn Martin. So the research project that she did is for the TWAS UNESCO, and that happened about 2 years ago. So this book launch and the discussion become a part of the Voicing the Voiceless Minority with this reason, and this event is organized in collaboration with Junction. Before we go too far, may I invite the host of this event to give a short remark. May I invite Kun Shamil from Junction, please.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Junction. If you have been here before, welcome back. If you have not, Junction is the venue to connect Southeast Asia. We work very hard to be a space for public discussion on the dynamism of Southeast Asia, as well as emerging issues within the region. We have a good collection, I would say, of a library featuring books on multiple topics from history, culture, art, and politics. We also have ongoing events. Currently, we have a Myanmar Odyssey, which is an event in honor anniversary of the 4 years of fight and plight of the Burmese people living under the coup. We also have on the third floor What's in a Name exhibition by Mr. Butet, an Indonesian artist. So our work here is quite diverse. Today we are happy to be part of this book launch, lending our space as well as welcoming everyone. Junction is a not a public organization. We are an NGO and a foundation. So all of our events are free to attend, and we rely on our community support, on donation for our operation. And with this, I hope Kunjarani and all of the speakers feel comfortable in this space, and for you watching online, I hope today is a great event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kun Shamil, for your remarks. And thank you, Junction, again for your kind collaboration. Let me repeat the program of today. Next, you are going to listen to the talk by Dr. Anna Gretel, and followed by Dr. Amporn Martin. Each of them will talk for about 20 minutes. And then you will watch a video clip from 2 contributors to the book. After that, you will hear a reflection from Dr. Supatne Yunasit from Institute of Human Rights and Peace Study, Mahidol University. So she will give the reflection as well as sharing her relevant experience for another 20 minutes. After that, it will be the time for Q&A. Before I give the floor to Dr. Anna, may I read her bio so you get to know her more. Dr. Anna Gretel is a researcher, translator, and author. She serves as the Associate Professor at the Department of Anthropology, Federal University of Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. I hope I pronounced correctly. Yes, and she is currently seconded to the Racial Ministry of Equality in Brazil as a scientific advisor. She leads the BOAS Practice Collective, which is the permanent research group recognized by the Brazil's National Council for Scientific and Technological Development. Additionally, she holds a TWAS UNESCO Associateship for Research in Thailand, where she focuses on gender, cultural diversity, and human rights from a South to South perspective. May I give the floor to you, Dr. Anna.
Hello? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi. Thank you for being here. I would like to thank Professor Ampon Martin from Thammasat University. I would like to thank also Junction organization for providing the space for us to be here discussing contemporary issues in Southeast Asia in a South-South perspective. I would also like to thank our colleagues that are here to discuss, that took the work to read the book, make notes, that are willing to have a conversation about it. I wrote some comments, and then I would like to show some images. But first, give some context on how the book was, how the idea of the book came, which were the meetings that brought this idea, as the colleague too say. I came to Thailand in 2023 as a researcher with a visiting professor to associateship. Then I went to the Asian Institute of Technology, to the Gender and Development Institute. I was supervised by Dr. Joyi Chatterjee. And okay, coming from Latin America, I spent some years discussing the coloniality of knowledge and power. And I was excited to finally have direct conversations with people from another part of this imagined identity called the Global South. Places that do not always overlap with our local histories, but that share something unescapable. We all belong to this geopolitical identity that has been historically made as this Global South. For those who are unfamiliar with the term, Global South is a socio-political and historical term that focuses on regions that independently from their local histories have been somehow pushed to the margins, shaped by colonialism, economic dependency, and global inequalities. This is not a strictly geographical division. For example, Mexico is located in North America, but conceptually belongs to the global south. Same thing with Australia and New Zealand, that are located in the south, but we could understand that they are in the global north. We had a good discussion about this geographical paradox in Thammasat University at an undergrad class 2 years ago. So back in time, before coming here, I wanted not only to make connections with other people, especially women, who are dealing somehow with struggles of knowledge and power in different latitudes, but I also wanted to be able to see Latin American challenges, political paths, and community experiences from a different perspective, like enrich my own perspective, shaped by those new exchanges with people from other traditions, other rich traditions that come from these very different context. So there were some practical challenges. I had to anticipate some, for example, language barriers, funding issues for translation, and also the realization that I just could not show up and start working with local leaders from communities. That's something I've been doing for some years. Leaders from local communities, social movements, without a meaningful base for exchange. Under the Participatory Action Research School, we learned from Colombian sociologist Orlando Fals Borda and Brazilian educator Paulo Freire. Research is basically something that you do to establish a two-sided conversation. Okay? So working with traditional communities always brings up a big question. How do we as researchers avoid becoming intellectual extractivists? Something that involves taking knowledge without giving back the results of our research. I'm thinking about the bigger picture. How could I avoid reproducing the old patterns of Western academia that we also suffer as intellectuals from the global south? Speaking for others, objectifying them, or in the case of Asian cultures, falling into what Edward Said so precisely called Orientalism. How could I do meaningful research without becoming an intellectual extractivist? So my main job in Thailand at that time, 2 years ago, was giving some lectures in the Gender and Development program. But I really wanted to start shaping a long-term conversation into this new environment. So I started looking for key spirits who I could talk with about their interests, their struggles, their views on gender, justice, spirituality. And then I began like this, interviewing a few female researchers, intellectuals, and activists at AIT, Chiang Mai University, Thammasat, and Songdhammakayani Monastery. And my research questions started navigating the scope of care, an idea of care that could involve taking care of children, but also could evoke other social processes like activism, spirituality, environmental justice, human rights. Also, at an emotional level, the report was given by the interactions with other women who engage in different forms of female solidarity. So it was not about strictly social leaders, because they were really far away from what I could do, but at the same time they were not researchers who were doing their specializations or working in their fields in a way that is not connected to their communities. So I see those intellectuals I've been talking to and the ones who gave me the idea of the book as themselves as bridges between their communities and the academia, critical bridges also, who are people with making connections that are meaningful and that are guided by solidarity. So those three intellectuals and educators also inspire me, also because of the context in Latin America, where other female intellectuals did similar work. So I could quote here Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz from Mexico, the Bolivian sociologist Silvia Rivera Cusicanqui, the Brazilian anthropologist Lelia Gonzalez, the Brazilian activist Mariel Franco, and the Argentinian intellectual and activist Loana Berkins. Just like with them, I found inspiration in Moni Rashan and Paul Martin, who's here, and Venerable Dhammananda Bhikkhuni. Each of them, in different ways and moments in their lives, have been both activists and professors. Their work and daily practice explores in different ways gender human rights from an intersectional perspective. This is also a concept that can help us to think about female solidarity beyond Western patterns. And their agency, this agency that gives the name to this encounter and that gives a name also to the book. This is a concept. I took this, the inspiration for this name from a concept from Hannah Arendt, who has this idea of the Vidas Ativas that has to do with not only living in society but also contributing to society and moving towards a better world. So I learned in this process the invisible strength of the Bhikkhunis and the Meijis, female communities of practice in Theravada Buddhism, the struggles of the displaced Rohingya communities in Myanmar and northern Thailand, the personal challenges of women that are intellectuals, educators, and are strongly linked to their traditional and cultural contexts, and the beauty of learning to make a space in those struggles to contemplate the frangipani flowers that someone put here. Thank you very much for those flowers, falling from their mother trees, or their ancestral trees. So through this journey, this translation was more like with the idea of connecting worlds, and I now would like to also to acknowledge the contributions of other colleagues who were inspired by this project, who were Lucrecia Greco, who's an anthropologist from Argentina, Karina Vidasteca, also an Argentinian anthropologist, Sandra Fernandez, who's a professor and activist from Brazil, and Cindy Reisicott, who is from the United States and lived for a long time in Thailand, and lived with Dhammananda Bhikkhuni, wrote two biographies of her, so she helped a lot to understand the trajectory of Dhammananda. And Ilka Correia, who is a graphic facilitator and who did the illustrations for the book. And I can pass the slide. I just wanted to show the physical object. We did an online, a digital edition, and this digital edition is in English and is in Portuguese. And in this bilingual graphic edition, we have some limited printings of this. But in this bilingual edition, we have it in Portuguese, and the other side is in English. So we have access to both words somehow. It's important to note that in Latin America, Portuguese is a big speaking community, but it's also related to Spanish. So many people, most people who has a basic familiarity with Portuguese can read Portuguese. So in Latin America, it can be widely distributed between communities of practice that are linked to female solidarity, human rights, and so on. So Ilka helped me to shape the graphic part of this book. We discussed a lot we discussed about the ways of writing in Thai. For us, probably people who knows Thai, probably there are some mistakes. We don't read Thai, we don't write Thai, but we were doing our researches and then asking the contributors and our co-authors. We were asking, especially Ampon, thank you very much, because you were giving great, great feedbacks, so we could advance with the process. This idea of the cover, it's here. This is a very famous image that we discussed when we discussed the coloniality in Latin America. So we have this critique of why the world has Europe in the center, our mapa mundi. This is just a pen and ink, pen and paper design from an author from Uruguay, and then we have Latin America here, Argentina will be here, and Brazil will be this area. And then we have Peru, Colombia, right? Mexico here, and the United States here. So, playing with this idea in Thammasat, and like this. Thank you very much. I did this exercise of imagination. I don't know if you recognize this one. It's just a change in perspective. Upside down. Exactly. So if you see the cover of the book, there's Latin America and there's Thailand upside down. We did this exercise in 2023 at Professor Samporn, a class in anthropology with anthropology students who were super critical and made some great comments also to this discussion on the coloniality. I'm finishing. So this is the complete image that we have in the first page of the physical book and that we have also in the online version. And here we have the countries, and here we have like a reflection, because in this dialogue with the other we are dealing with reflections, and it's also a way of finding ourselves through the dialogue with the others, right? So it's not a direct conversation. There's also always something mediated, right? Psychoanalysis will tell this better than me. But this idea of the connection, right? It's like a door that opens and closes. And Levi-Strauss worked with this idea of the articulation between cultures. And then when I was talking to Ilka, the illustrator, she said, yeah, this is a powerful idea that can be designed in an image. So that's why we put this reflection of the teacup with the name of the three authors that are in this part. We see them better. And then this connection that is not direct, right? There are many layers on this. So we can discuss those layers. Those are the three. I thank them very much. Thank you, Ampor, Manura, and Venerable Ramananda. Ilka has this way of listening and designing quickly, so we spent 2 days together doing this. She was designing the ideas, and then she presented me the results of the show, of the work, and we chose the palette of colors together, trying to bring a little bit of the sea, trying to bring a little bit of the colors of Theravada Buddhism. That was a bit of the idea. And the books have some sticky notes. The idea of the sticky notes come from two places. One is a conversation with Venerable Ramananda, who, when I met her, I was telling you, when I met her at Sungama Kalyani Monastery, she gave me like 12 books of her authorship. she gave it to me and I was, can I translate some chapters? Because here there's so much information, it's so beautiful. And then she told me, yeah, of course. And then we discussed a little bit, and then I said, can you choose the chapters? And then she said, no, that's gonna be your job. Because you are the one who knows what people can be interested in knowing, what can resonate from the work we do here. So the next day, I went with some sticky notes, marking the chapters of the books. I went with all the books to meet her in the afternoon, downstairs where she would spend their afternoons. And then she was telling me, great, it seems that you're gonna get the job done. So this idea of the sticky notes comes a little from this memory of also like taking notes, side notes, or giving some context to the contents that the interviews and authors are bringing, right? So those sticky notes, I wrote them, trying to bridge a little, bring some historical references. For example, the Thai calendar that in Latin America, many people who didn't travel to Thailand, who did not travel to Thailand probably don't know, or don't know that it's not the same lunar calendar as the Chinese calendar. Here, for example, also the Deep South. This is something that is not so widely known, but it's happening and it's affecting communities. So the sticky notes have this purpose. They are all over the book. And finishing. And here only go through the structure of the book. So we have some opening words from Cindy, who's the biographer of Venerable Dhammananda. Some other opening words from Lucrecia, that here in the physical book are, in this physical book, okay. And then our mini bios from me as editor and Ilka as illustrator. And then each one of the pieces of other authors have their biographies there, created by themselves, with their contacts also, so who is interested in getting to know more of their works can get in contact. The idea is to make more echoes and more resonances of this conversation and bring more people together to discuss things that are meaningful to them and their communities. Sandra also, she's an English professor, English language professor, so she chose like an old word and instead of saying opening words or something, antelope, it's like a medieval word. Okay, and she also has a discussion on Buddhism that she brings in her comments. Then we have 15 chapters, short chapters that are very readable because they are essays or they are interviews. And then we start with some, the preface is telling a little bit of the process and the methodology here. And then we have a poem starting with her mini bio, an interview we had in two different moments at Thammasat. And then Ankorn's essay, especially written for this book. That's our chapter 3. In chapter 4, we start with Monira's contributions. So it's Monira's mini bio, her interview, her essay on the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh, where she's right now. Then the mini video of Venerable Dhammananda, the interview with her 3 times in Sangamakalyan Monastery, some chapters, old chapters that she wrote like 20 years ago when she was professor at Thammasat University, religious studies in Thammasat. And this chapter is especially beautiful. It speaks about like more sociological view on Buddhism and on Thai women. Then the chapter of the Meijis. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Meijis. Meijis. And then this is chapter 10. And we go finish already. It's a little of her journey that I think in the comments it will appear a little of the struggle. But yeah, Bhikkhunis have a political struggle today in contemporary Thailand that not many people knows about. We have this idea that Buddhism has to do with peace and love, something like this, and it's a westernized idea. Like every other organization, there's conflict, and Dhammananda. Thailand. Then some reflections on the gender-free aspect of Buddhism that are more philosophical, but also very beautiful. Global warming, creating a platform for global transformation, and then just some words about the whole compilation. And some references of the work. Now I would like to give the word for the next commentator. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anna, for introducing your book in details, chapter by chapter. The next, I would like to invite Dr. Amporn Martin. But before she starts her talk, let me introduce her by reading her short biography. Dr. Amporn Martin is an assistant professor at the Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology at Thammasat University, Thailand. She is specializing in gender, social justice, and ethnography. She collaborates with community-based organizations, NGOs, and civil society organizations to promote women, peace, and security. She is a member of the ASEAN Women and Peace Registry, and she leads research at the ARC Center for Excellence for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, focusing on Thailand's peace process. With a PhD in Cultural Anthropology from Goethe University, Frankfurt, Dr. Amporn has extensively published on Islamic feminism, gender-based violence, and migration. She founded the Center for Excellence for Women and Social Security at Walayalak University in the southern Thailand. And she has contributed to policy research from ASEAN and UN agencies. Her work integrates activism and academia to address intercommunal tensions and advocate for equality. Your time is started.
Thank you. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณมากค่ะคุณจุ๊บ and thank you Junction once again for allowing us from Thammasat University to collaborate the project in terms of collaboration that we can organize book launch here. And once again, I'd like to repeat the gratitude and also very great support from Thammasat University, the Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology. Today is kind of a good opportunity that actually I feel like honor and also delight to have gotten to know again, repeat after Anna, because we know for about 2 years when Anna spent about 2-3 months, a few months as AIT visiting fellow, visiting professor at the institute next by Thammasat University in Rangsit Center, and we become friends. More than that, we also work together. We very easily to click to know each other, and we learn from each other as well. So it means a lot to me, and Anna also invited me to contribute to this book that you may see on the front of us, and we will distribute, send the link and also QR code right after the talk today, and we make it a publicity as well, and then everyone all over the globe will be able to access to our book. So this is the project that Anna invest and contribute to all of us, and this is a very big moment that Anna also can spend time here again in Bangkok for a short time, shorter than 2 years ago. And then we come up with the idea, so we should have book launch once a year, and so this is just a small background to share with all of you. So the process that I make with this book is very kind of enjoyable and also feel like natural. And without worrying about structure in writing too much, I feel like this is very more comfortable to feeling like it is easy to write something down. So my writing took a slightly poetic tone while also weaving this in some personal stories. The main thing that I touch upon in the struggles of women, I recently had a chance to visit and also share the films with many people in Mesot, in the border city between Thailand and Myanmar. So at that moment, my writing focused specifically about people in Mesot, in particular groups of people who are migrated, who are refugees, and they become refugees as a displaced people who are living in the camps or outside of the camp, even in the same parts. Many of whom arrived before the war escalated into the ongoing conflict in Myanmar. One dimension of the conflict that I have encountered is the civil war in our neighboring country. Another familiar space that, for me, southern Thailand or the deep south of Thailand conflict, violent conflict. I also have written much about it yet. The screen up here is a picture that I was in the field side in the deep south of Thailand in front of Crusade Mosque, which is very strict mosque, where the escalation of conflict also there. And it's about 20 years of the incident of conflict in also Thailand and also in Brazil. So at the pictures, I cannot trace back to those boys. I think they already a big one, big boys, a man now, the group of men. And just a good timing that I was there because I collect the data. The first project, because I was there, I was a student in Patani Princess of Life University Patani campus. There was the undergrad student. So I still have friends, family members, including people who will support a lot during the field work, and also during spend times as part of my life, right? And I still go back and forth almost every few months. Back to the book, that small chapter, and also interviewed me in the interview part. I spent the story, I spent like short stories, resilient, also the struggle of women who have endured nearly 2 decades of the conflict. Just a word, just last week, about people who are living in the South. We also lost an important figure, a person who engaged with community, women that share and contribute a life for the community, especially people who are working in civil society organization. You know her. Her name is Karsida Pusu. She's very active in social movement, especially to defend women's rights within Muslim community. She's like my friend, who also fought tirelessly against sexual violence against women or gender-based violence. She battled illness while continuing her work for more than 5 years, I think about 6 years, without or never wavering her commitment. She was only one. She was not only a friend, but she was also like a sister. She's very participative, and she also part of my interlocutor during my work, and also we have good collaboration in terms of research and development. We have implementation programs together until last year. So with her because of just recent pass, she passed away about a week ago, so just want to contribute about her in this forum. Her story is not in particular written in the chapter. It reflects to what Sandra, one of the contributors in the book, also mentioned about the connections between belief system in Asia and also the knowledge and living experience of people into continents or into part of the global south, what Anna emphasized in the books. I also invite Anna to my class, which Anna already mentioned, and also Pedro, the son of Anna, who also was my guest speaker 2 weeks ago at Thammasat University. Pedro mentioned, and also Anna mentioned about Global South, the effect of colonization, and Pedro mentioned slightly about the topic of emotions, football, as well as the case of Maradona, which people at Thammasat, not only my students, but also people in general don't know much. When we talk about the people in Brazil, in Argentina, in Latin America, don't know much about Thailand. Vice versa, people in here, even at the academic institution, in my class, students surprised in many moments, especially when Pedro mentioned about the situation at Pasar, right? The movement of women or the grandmother who fight for justice, including for democracy. This is a very unique case that we learn a lot from Pedro. And also our students learn from Pedro sharing in the class. But in the truth, I don't use a particular remarkable to deserve special recognition. Because in my perspective, in our perspectives, the actions and the living experience belongs to what we can be called the common world. We live in the common world. It's not a special, but especially in terms that I was invited by Anna to be part of this book as a writer, but at the same time, I feel like we are ordinary people. So the common world is a concept that reflects ordinary people, deserve the space to reflect on society. And my small chapter in this book, much like writing from the field, a weaving together of ethnographic storytelling and personal encounters. In the interview, Anna also asked me about my work experience, my life, my perspective about the status of the university student in Thailand, in particular at Thammasat University. I share what I observed from Thammasat University and also during my time teaching at Walalak University in the southern Thailand. As for the topic of the conflict in the lives of people that I work together with, I can't quite remember very clear in every part what I talked to Anna. And when I trace back by reading before coming to this forum, it's allowed me to learn from the ideas and the ways of life of those people, which I learned that their role is specific to memorize and also to be able to discuss later on. Instead, the people, especially women, they also focus on the values of life. They don't discuss only what is the role of women, but they see the life as a sacred gift. It's a gift that they should be protected. At the same time, they also have their own dignity, especially in the context of the society that they must be able to navigate by themselves. In my writing part, entitled Frangipani, Frangipani flowers that fall from the tree on the battleground. So Anna already shared with us the content. So my chapter is on the third one, small chapter, and also sharing, and I also brief some notes on the days that I traveled to Thammasat as mentioned earlier. The short piece that I wrote is basically in Thammasat, in Myanmar-Thailand border. In the beginning, I reflect on my journey on on 22 or 23 years ago, I first conducted research there. During that time, I had the opportunity to learn from and speak with Dr. Cynthia Moore. The picture is on the next slide. Yes. I already asked permission from Dr. Cynthia and my colleague. She based in Metal. She's very famous. She got many awards, and she contributes more than 30 years of her life to support and help people at the borderline. At this time, I visited the clinic again, but many things had changed. The building was newly constructed in a new area away from the city. The number of patients had increased, and there were people who were wounded, and many of young men in particular are amputees, and people also need treatment. I cannot take picture. I could not take picture in the hospital for the security reason, including for different other reasons. So I just took a picture around the way before get into the metal clinic. Dr. Cynthia, with her core medical team, remained just as strong as before. Beyond the description about the atmosphere of my visiting, I also had a chance to speak with many people, both old acquaintances and also new ones. It was a place that I could not write much. There are some places, for example, the case of I visit the place that women could not be able to open up much, but during the discussion it's very low. But I cannot write about their stories because for the high security of this group, especially Korean women, I have to visit them at the same house. But the discussion is very fruitful. I learn a lot from them. And that place is the place that I have deep impression. The reflection from current women organization representative, it reflects the narratives that I have learned from the Rohingya women. One of them reveled that people in my country, I quote, people in my country understand now. I'm not suggesting that the widespread violence we are experiencing is good, but I believe that the collective experience will ultimately strengthen our fight against injustice. The sense of empower is there, and among the new generation that decide for victory over military rule in Afghanistan. This Rohingya friend and I do not wish for people in the society, whether Myanmar or people from different other identities, national identity or other part of the world, to endure violation, to be killed, or to be persecuted. Yet the situation described above often feel escalating, much like in many other parts of the world, where our global village continues to turn under the weight of authoritarian power. And I wrote in my chapter, I quote, as a new semester approached, I will soon return to teaching to my class, visit my family in Phuket during a long holiday during New Year and travel to the southern part of Thailand to meet with the Malay Muslim friends and share the story from Thai-Myanmar border together. Despite the ongoing challenges, my journey still holds some hope. I can rest without hiding in the safe house. I can speak for myself without relying on the others to narrate my experiences. As a Thai citizen, I still receive a fair amount of justice from the state and from my society. End quote. So the part of those documenting and in the writing, from the picture, reflecting again back to the screen, is the places in the city when we walk through. And the next slide is our pictures that we took in an NGO called Smiley Club, which is a club or the congregation place that my friends there. And many of this place youth were gathering. Many of them experienced domestic violence. So this is a warm place for many refugee young people, including the mama, the parents as well. So the path of the document in perspective and as well as experience in 2024 when I spent time in Venezuela is a physical journey, and is also part of metaphorical towards hope. At the rest of my journey, I also took an opportunity to write daily notes and let my thoughts roam freely. Look out at the window. I wrote in the last part of my chapter, I saw fallen frangipani flowers I picked up from the campus. It's not that fresh anymore. I also took a rose from my house before I did. And these are the handmade products from Smiley shops, which is very important. It's cheap actually. I like to promote because it's cheap and also support groups of the refugees who are living and contributing part of their life at Smiley Club. I'm going to mention about the organization. It's not yet NGO because they just established a few years back, and they don't get much support, but they want to share and contribute to the society, especially to support those who are displaced people. The people remind me about the frangipani flowers that fall in my parents' graveyard. Okay, in Phuket. In my family, frangipani flowers symbolize immortality and tragic beauty. My siblings and I often gather these flowers and place them particular on our mother's grave during our visit, and tuck the flowers behind my mother's ears. So we just communicate with mother over the flower, and also we had conversation with her whether she already passed away. She was the center of our family. She's part of family universe. And the loss feel like we lost the heart of the home. From my perspective, women on the move resemble these frangipani flowers. Despite facing various forms of violence, they also continue their fight with beauty and severity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajahn, for this heart-touching chapter. And the content of this chapter is actually very heavy, but the way you write is really with the poetic writing, and it's really inviting to read, and it's really touch your heart to my tears. Thank you very much. And after this, we have two video clip from two contributors.
Good morning, Dr. Anna, Dr. Amphon and colleagues. Greetings from Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. the home of the biggest refugee camps in the world. I'm delighted to join you today on this special occasion. I wish I could join you in person, but my spirit is with you. Working with Dr. Anna on this book chapter was an immense pleasure and a great experience. A blend of academic and personal experience enabled me to be reflective on my deliberation, contributing to the article's uniqueness. However, the choice of intriguing questions of Dr. Anna to bring out the best in me shows the richness and insightfulness of Dr. Anna's intellectual excellence. We can rarely reflect on how our personal trajectory has shaped our academic journey or vice versa. This is exactly what Dr. Anna facilitated in drawing out in this book, contributing to the knowledge production. I hope the experience and insights I have shared in this book will add value to academia. Furthermore, the wonderful sisterhood that I have created with Dr. Anna and Dr. Amphon during the course of our academic collaboration for this book remains a treasure that I will cherish forever. Wish you all the very best and congratulations.
Hi, my name is Cindy Rossico. I recently had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Anna Gretel and her two wonderful children at Bhikkhuni Dhammananda's temple in Nakhon Pathom, Thailand. She asked me to say a few words about her wonderful book, and I'm happy to do so. I highly recommend their book because it sends a message of hope and healing and gives voice to three extraordinary women from South and Southeast Asia. All three women are change makers in their communities and practice engaged spiritual activism to improve the lives of others. In the case of myself, I am the author of This Fresh Existence, Heart Teachings of Bhikkhuni Dhammananda. I have been her devoted student and follower for the past 20 years. In that time, she has taught me everything I need to know about practicing loving kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. So I thank Dr. Anna Gretel for giving me this opportunity to speak, and I do highly recommend her book. It is an important testimony to the importance of women as powerful healers and role models for compassionate social change at a time when our world desperately needs to hear this message. Thank you, Sayati.
Who wrote the opening words in the book. So next is a session of the reflection by Dr. Supatme Yunyasit. May I invite Dr. Supatme on the stage. Dr. Supatme Yunyasit is a trained social anthropologist and a lecturer in the field of conflict and peace studies at the Institute of Human Rights and Peace Studies at Mahidol University, Thailand. She also serves as Secretary General of the Religions for Peace, Thailand, and co-chair of Asia Pacific Women of Faith Network. Religions for Peace Asia and Thailand's representative in the ASEAN Women Peace Registry. Pass is yours.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here today at the book launch Activize the Stories of Three Women in Asia. When Ajanda asked me to, I call her by her nickname. I know her for the past 10 years from one of our mutual friends. That time I was seeking a thesis examiner. So, and for my student, for my master's student, and then this senior of mine, so I'm a lecturer at the Vidas Ativas University in the Deep South. So he said, okay, you should ask Ampon to be your external examiner she assistant principal, and we have worked a lot on various projects. And recently, we also represent Thailand in the Asia Pacific together. So that's how our story come along. And then when she asked me to whether I can, give my comments about the book, and then she gave me the book last Monday, and then it became a tough job for me to really finish reading. I said, okay, I try my best, so I managed to finish the book, which is it's a kind of interesting journey to read this book. It's anthropological in many ways. You can feel that, the author trying to write things without leaving it off the context, which is something we anthropologists usually do, right? We never leave it out of context. Everything must be judged based on its own context, right? So that's the nature of our anthropological culture, so-called. Not enough. Yeah, and like Dr. Anna already introduced you about the chapters of the book. So I read through that. You have your own writing and also the contributing pieces from the three authors as well, which is Ajahn Ampon and then Kun Morina Hassan and also Venerable Longme Thammananda. Right, so I also work with her in various occasions, right, because we try to form the Buddhist group in the central part of Thailand, and then we try to have them have some contributions for the conflict in the Deep South. So we have Noman as one of the key figures in the Buddhist community joining our dialogue platform as well. So that's how I also learn about them from previous and also life interaction with them, and also from the book. Right? From these three female leaders, and also from you as an author, I found a lot of commonalities. Even though you are from different culture, right? I'm once a Muslim, Longman Buddhist, you're Christian, and then you have Morina Hassan, who is also Muslim. But I see that they have a lot of, you guys have a lot of things in common. First of all, you are scholar by nature. You are academician. You have the hunger for knowledge, right? And also not only the established knowledge, you also seek alternative knowledge that you can learn from other people. Right? We are at the stage, we are at the time when we can call this period of time postmodernism. Like we go and reread all the knowledge that we acquired since young until now, and also we try to understand the new knowledge. In peace building, we have this school of thought that emerged recently. We call it the alternative discourse peace building, right? Which is we want to hear from the people that not really have the power to write narrative, to write discourse by themselves. So this is something that we want to know. We collect pieces of truth, reality from different groups of people, and then we compare whatever we have known so far. And then we try to reread all, but we're not going to reject anything, right? Postmodernism, reread all, reject none, right? We try to compare and contrast. We should learn by now that there's different types of social realities based on different perspectives. So this book also giving you guys, if you have a chance to read, a new perspective about lives of different of women that live in different areas in Asia, right? And then through them, they are like a spider. They are, to me, when I'm reading the book, I feel like they are like a spider. They are also in the web. They're also making the web, and then they also try to tell us stories about their spider's friend. Right? I'm not sure which one is it. We can go on. Sorry. I have that. PDF will go, maybe go to the, I don't know which one. The one with the spider that go down. I think maybe the peace building from the peace builder perspective, yeah. Alright. And then we can go back. Yeah. A little bit more now. think of these women, the three women, they're like spiders, right? They're in the web, which is I refer to the society. And the spiders born into the web, very established web, right? Which is with social structures and so many things. But they themselves also the one that spin the web. Right? So they also create some content and give to the world. The same with in their writing, they also talk about women that come into the world and then try to connect the dots and try to create a network. They also become, in a sense, some spiders the way. So learning from this spider, you also know many other spiders that come into pictures. So that is how I imagine reading through this book. And when Anna, at the beginnings of the book, she mentions about the word agents of change. So I try to think of these three women as agents of change and from the perspectives of peace builder. So when you look into this and I try to understand, okay, what kind of traits, what kind of characteristic of a peace builder that these women have in common, and I found a lot of things that they have in common, and later I will go down into the details. One more thing is that apart from becoming an academic and also a practitioner, they bring the knowledge from the ground and add into the forest of the knowledge, the established knowledge about agents of change, about how to advocate for women's rights, equalities, try to eradicate discriminations or all those stuff. So they bring to the pictures the knowledge from the ground, right? But at the same time, these women, one in Bangladesh, and two in Thailand, and you in Argentina and Brazil, the two different countries. So we face the same situation, right? We born into the society that's very male dominant, right? Women are not really, you could not see women play a crucial role so much in the society, even though we play a lot of role. But our voice sometimes is sidelined by many agencies, many levels of authorities. That's why we live in a kind of traditional society that somehow not really give us opportunity to amplify our voice, to speak up a lot, and we have to suffer. We have to be under the pressure of this kind of thing that passed down from generation to generation. So this is the reality that we are facing in. And that you are Muslim, and in Thailand, of course, you're a minority. I have to say, but go to the deep south, you become majority. Loma, of course, Loma Thammasat, she's a female bhikkhuni. So the status of bhikkhuni in Thailand is very, not really well recognized by the wider Thai society, as well as by the established agency like the Sangha Supreme Council. Right? So they are, in a way, they are minority as well, living through this kind of situation with the male dominant kind of context. So this is some similarity that we are facing, and I think women in most of the global south countries also facing this kind of hierarchical and also discriminational situation. All right, and that some similarities and also the challenges that we are facing. And when I was reading to this book, and I was also have to teach about peace building. So that's why I looked through that from the book of John Paul Lederer. I don't know whether you know about this book, but it's become the Bible for all of us. It's called The Moral Imagination, right? Lederer wrote this book, and then from his experience as peace builder in many countries across the country. Just now whether the book then a bit more. This one also can. The middle one is this book called The Moral Imagination. But if you type moral imagination into the internet, many other books, the title will come up, right? But we are focusing on the book by John Paul Lederer, The Art and Souls of Peace, of Building Peace. And in this book, which is one of my favorite books, and in still Human Rights and Peace Study, we translated this book into Thai language, and then in 2012, we invited John Paul Lederer to come to Thailand for a book launch like this at Chulalongkorn University. I don't know why we should have done that, but we don't. We do it at Chulalongkorn, it's accessible, and people can come and join the event. So John Paul came, and then he quite happy with the translation. And we discussed a lot about these journeys of peace building, because at our institute, Human Peace Studies, the Research Center for Peace Building, which is one feature of this institute, it was established because the university wanted to play more role into the Deep South conflict back in 2004. So that's why we have a lot of projects doing about peace building and Deep South. We have our own knowledge also that we pick from the ground, right? But with Leatherette coming to see us during that day, that year in 2012, we have a lot of things to say and exchange with him. But from this book, he crafted or he outlined there's 4 characteristics of peace builder or agents of change. Right? Maybe you can go to that slide with the 4. Yeah. Okay. So he told us 4 stories, very fascinating stories about a peace builder, about characteristics of peace builder. The first one is from Ghana. There's a conflict between 2 tribes, the Gomba and Dagombas tribes, and they did in conflict for so long. Right? The first story talk about how a young leaders of one tribe try to imagine their relationship with the enemy, so-called the enemy. So that's the ability, the capacity to imagine a relationship even with someone that your ancestor, your family, your community in conflict with for so long. So that's the ability to imagine relationship, right? The same thing when you go to the Deep South, you have the Malay Muslim and the Buddhist, and most of the Buddhists, I can say, they feel that they have been the target of violence for so long, and they couldn't imagine how to reconcile with the enemy, the so-called the insurgent group, or sometimes they have also the strain of relationship between the Malay Muslim majority and their neighbors. So the ability to be able to imagine that we can cultivate relationship with other people is a key thing for conflict transformation, or when you want to advocate for anything, whether human rights, women's rights, or to end social injustice, all those stuff. The second story is about women in Waji in Kenya, practice of paradoxical curiosities. Like these women, they are in conflict for so long. They live in a conflict area. Generation to generation, they have to suffer a lot by this violence that brought to them at the hands of men and many other actors involved with arms. Right? So these women, they are trying to think out of the box. When you talk about paradoxical paradox, is something you put 2 things that's so different together, right? Together, and try to compare and contrast. In our world, we are taught to identify social reality into 2 types, and whether black or white, right? 2 things, male or female, us or them, something like this. But if you think about something different, you don't want to be under the pressures of this kind of established dualistic framework. We are free from so many obstacles like that. If you think you don't brand people as bad people, white people, or this is insurgent people, or this is authorities, or this is the army. I'm not gonna engage with the army because they are bad or whatever. So if we are trapped in that kind of logic, it's difficult for us to really work on for conflict transformations or for peace building. So these women in Waji, they are trying to think out of the box. They collaborate with people that people brand them as the culprit, as perpetrators. Right? So that is how they come up with strategies to really transform their situation. For creativity act, Leatherette talks about a campesino, a farmer that live in La India, in Colombia, and then about, they don't have a choice when it comes to negotiate with authorities or with the insurgent group. They will give them, okay, cooperate with us or you die, or you go out this land, otherwise you will die. But these farmers, the group of farmers, they feel like, okay, we want to have some alternative, we will do this and this and this. This is from our own imagination, our creativity. So they offer some proposal to to the authority and also the influencing group and make them, be able to transform the situation. And the last story is about the willingness to risk. Is the story from the Tajikistan, right? The professor, like I said, we go to negotiate with the warlord, and then one day the warlord asks him whether he can really, what he can guarantee if I join your peace platform, peace-building platform. How can you guarantee my safety? The professor said, I cannot guarantee any of the safety, but if you go to jail, I'll go with you. So they take the risk to face the authorities and to negotiate many things. So that, the way Leatherhead come up with the strategies called willingness to risk. So in this book that I read, from Ajahn Amporn stories, from Morina Asan stories, from Gomez, Kamananda stories, all these traits, emerge from the book, from the text. As an anthropologist, we are trained to, my professor will say, you read carefully on data and then how it speaks to you, right? Whether how the data speak to you, so that the theory jump from the text, grounded theory. So in these stories from Ajahn Amporn, from Morina Asan, from Mananda, I can see all these traits emerge, whether from their own experience dealing with the conflict or being agents of change, or from the story of the women that they interacted with. Right? For example, where is my note? Alright, it's gone. Magic. Alright. For example, when you talk about capacity to imagine relationship, right? Whether from the women in Method that Vidas interview and one also interview, and also from the Rohingya women that Morina Asan or interview, and also from the Gomez experience, they imagine that relationship with the authority with the people that they're in conflict with, and trying to connect with them and form the network. So I think that abilities is very prominent in that experience. Right? And they are trying to understand that there's a lot of things that they can share, they can do, they can learn from one another. So this is something that jumps from the text that I read. In Method, women, and also from Rohingya in Bangladesh, they face a lot of structural and violence situations, structural violence and also physical violence, but they manage to really imagine something out of that. They will talk about the communities that they can serve as a leader, talk about in the future maybe they can have a government that led by women. This is something that they imagine. They use a lot of creativity, use a lot of courage to do that. So I think this is something quite prominent that jump from the situation. And also the practice of paradoxical curiosity is there too. Two things in paradox. You live in a traditional kind of community, society, and you also talk about women's rights, you talk about human rights, you talk about some other thing. So this is something, it not really go well with one another, it may clash, but they put things together. Okay, I live in a Buddhism context with very, maybe Buddhism doesn't talk a lot about how Buddhists can engage in a worldly affair. For example, in Thailand, the Buddhist monk cannot vote. They cannot go to vote because people perceive political rights or political arena as something out of the Buddhist monk areas of expertise or duties. They shouldn't supposed to take side. When you go to vote, you have to pick some candidate, right? So that's why they ban from really engaging in the kind of political arena. But Gomez talks a lot about how Buddhism can engage into the worldly affair, how Buddhism can really become the model for change for various worldly issues, environmental issues like global warming and all the stuff. Right? So Buddhism can play a role. So this is how she put there the practice of paradoxical curiosity. She put two things together, right? And for creative act, you can see, they imagine a lot of things that they can do. Mẹ started the newsletter. She said that time she couldn't speak well English, but she had the courage to do that creative acts, and also women that cross the border, they also trying to connect with one another, creative, thinking about many ways to transform their situation. For example, they have the market, women market that Asan mentions in the story. And they trying to think about a place, safe space for women. So they have the women market there. So this is all the acts of creativity, right? Of course, the last one, willingness to risk, is all appear there, right? You need to take courage. Ajan Ampon also have to take the courage to the deep south to do the research, and also Asan also have to take the risk to go there and talk to Rohingya people. The method of women that we interview, they also have to cross the border, right? To try to, they don't know what's gonna wait for them at the other side of the river, at the border, but they also take the risk to really, move forward and trying to imagine something positive. So this is taking the risk also everything in Longman's life as well. She knows she will face a lot of challenges, a lot of roadblock, a lot of discrimination, but she also take that road anyway, take that path anyway. So that's a lot of courage to be there to take risk. So yeah, it's a good reading that you can learn about these women and also from their life and also the story. So I suggest all of you, if you would like to learn more about women peace builder, from these 3 stories of these women, and also many women that they have incorporated into the stories. So you should pick the book and read, and then you can give an answer comment on how you feel about that. But this is all my reflections, and thank you so much for the opportunities to giving me this book to read, and also be able to review the book and give some of my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Support. Kylie gave the very thoughtful reflection and also provided the practical strategies to transform the conflict situations that are being used in different communities. And Kylie bring out the example that you find from the book that fit with the strategy is very thoughtful. Thank you very much. So, yes, okay, and if I allow, I also read through the book until the end. And this book actually, I think not only show up the experience of the interviewees that Dr. Anna interviewed, but it also linked me or the readers with many others women who are facing the inequality, life insecurity, and safety concerns, or facing the obstacles to their spiritual and intellectual growth. And this story is given the very clear picture for those who are not familiar with gender issues to be familiar with and have a clear understanding about what is going on, and be more aware of the importance of gender issue. And in many cases in the book is also a very crucial factor that shapes the persistence of the gender inequality is, you don't want to say it, but it's the culture or values of a society collectively holds and allows, sometimes it allows this thing to happen. But however, the culture will gradually change. Maybe it's very slow, but it's going to happen, and women have more voice, stronger voice in the society. But anyway, I see the important role or the crucial role of the change agent like you all, because we cannot wait the thing to change by itself. Therefore, the role of brave women who dare to be the agents of change become very crucial. Now, may I invite audience to send questions to the contributor. If you have any, Dr. Anna is here and ready to talk to you and answer the questions you may have. Yes, may I invite Dr. Anna, Dr. Ampon on the stage, please. If anyone have a question, please take your time.
ตรงขนาดว่าในเรื่องเขาจะต้องมีผู้หญิงเห็นที่เรียกว่าเขาต้องถามใครได้ถามใคร
การถามไทยนะคะ ก็อยากจะทราบว่าค่ะว่าในประเทศเขามันก็จะมีเป็นนักบวชหญิงเหมือนกันนะคะเขาเจอสถานการณ์อะไรบ้าง ถ้าแบบเป็นนักบวชหญิงในประเทศอื่นว่ามันมีสถานการณ์ที่มันใกล้เคียงเหมือนหรือต่างกับของทางพิษุณีของไทยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
Ajar Anna, you got a patience. In case that in your country is the same as in other countries, who has the female like religious actor, do they facing some difficulty like the case in Thailand?
Hi. Thank you for your question. I think it is very interesting to think in this interfaith perspective. I gave one reference of Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. She's from Juana Inés de la Cruz was from Mexico, from the 16th century, some centuries ago, and she faced machismo very strongly during her childhood, and she decided to become a female monk because she didn't want to live a life as a wife and a mother, and she wanted to study and to write poetry, and at the time that was the only place she could do this. So she was widely recognized as an intellectual who at the same time was, while she was cooking, like she in her poems, she wrote about cooking and science, and so she was a very curious person and a very challenging change maker, also challenging patriarchal society and colonial society of that time in Mexico. So I think Juana Inés de la Cruz is a great reference of a female intellectual who was also a Catholic nun. And in the present, we have different varieties of Catholic religion and also Christian religions that is wider. And so you have more progressive tendencies and you have more conservative tendencies. And in the progressive tendencies, you have, for example, nuns that are supporting abortion as a human right and as a choice for women. So they are called Católicas por el derecho a decidir, Catholics for the right to choose. They are not a majority, but they are tensioning the field. They are bringing other perspectives into this field. So most Catholic community and most Christian community is against abortion, but there are other women, that some of them are religions that are supporting this public health issue and choice for female and faith. And if you want some references of this, I can give you some names. There is Ivonne Guevara also from the Curas del Tercer Mundo. They are the leftist part of the church, Catholic Church also, who were thinking about issues of the global south and were very connected to Paulo Freire, who is quoted in this book and inspires a whole bunch of our ideas for education, Curas del Tercer Mundo. So Yvonne Guevara was a part of this, and she was an engaged nun. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for your first question. And you have another question, please.
Thank you so much for today's discussions, and I feel and so thank you so much for writing these books and help women more visible in Southeast Asian studies. And I have two questions, and the first question is, I know women is usually underrepresented in Southeast Asian studies, and I'm actually also curious about queer women, if this intersectionality, sexual orientations and their gender combined together, and did you come across these cases, how these queer women's situations, especially these intersectionalities together? And the second question is, also I would think academic, it's kind of limited to a certain of groups, and I'm also thinking also think these questions how academic can really help these people. I know you write this book and could make these people more visible, but outside the academic, how to help these people improve their life situations, how to make this change outside the academic. Thank you so much. I have these two questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions. I think they are very important and challenging also. Sexualities didn't appear directly in the interviews. However, I think there are many aspects of this. When, for example, we are speaking about decisions, life decisions, that if you, the example of women that become bhikkhuni, Venerable Dhammananda says that the same situation as Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. They don't want to perform as a wife, as the center of their families in patriarchal context, so they become bhikkhunis. Maybe not because they are looking for enlightenment. This is not this more utopian, idealistic search, but more a very concrete search that they don't feel comfortable with their gender stereotypes and also with their sexualities. It's not directly in the interviews, but I think we can gather some unconformism in several parts of the book. And in our contexts, I think I have seen in Latin America how sexualities are linked to gender struggles, are linked to race struggles. We have many social movements that are being not only centered in this claiming space for different sexualities, but also they are supporting other movements. So, for example, Lohana Berkins, a trans intellectual and activist, she is a person who has been contributing to this idea of migratory identities in a most non-essentialist way, right? In a way that identities are chosen, are built, and they can. It's a way of thinking how the world is not fixed, and it can change if you move towards this by yourself and with a supporting community.
Thank you very much for the question from, you are the student in Southeast Asian Studies, is it right? Do I understand correctly?
young students.
Okay, thank you for the question. So referring to queer in the community in which I study, actually I do not interview or focus on a group of people who are transgender or queer people. But in the conversation that I talked to Anna regarding the situation in the university, I talk about the activities of the students who participate and also create, not only participate, but also create a space for not only they themselves, but also to speak out as who they are. There are groups of the students who are queer in the university, they are feminists, they work together. They also try to defend the rights of being queer. And I also mentioned slightly in the interview part. Referring to the community that I focus much is the Muslim community. It's hard to say about that. Of course, just 2 weeks ago, I was invited, but because I had class, so after the law is passed on the transgender marriage, I don't know the term, that kind of legalize the marriage of people who have the same sex. So it doesn't mean it go flows in the community, but it's already there. Especially in the Muslim community, we don't see religious leaders contribute. Vice versa, there are groups of people who are against. They also provide the posters in many masjid or in many mosques to say that the Muslim community in Thailand don't support this kind of law, including the actions of same-sex marriage. So there are many stories that happen in our community. By saying that we welcome this habit, we don't welcome this kind of people in such group. So it's traumatized when we found the limitations of speaking on their own or living very in a very dignified life of the Muslim queer. So there are some space as well for them to speak within themselves, but to speak out and speak on behalf of being Muslim queer, it's very difficult. The second question regarding outside of the academic, should I go to Ajahn Tam first for the first question? Want to contribute on the second? Okay. So jump to the second question. When you mentioned about the outside of academic realm, how could we support people? Of course, we speak on behalf of ourselves, right? We voice, we echo our ideas, we write the things that we see the world, and we try to make something change, even not only from the academic activities, but also we learn, we share, and we contribute our capacity with the civil society organization, with NGOs, with the community-based organization or groups. I don't think academics could not be able to contribute outside of this area. Of course, our capacity is more than that. For example, when I mentioned about being anthropologists, all of us are anthropologists on the stage. I didn't think about choosing all anthropologists to be the speaker and moderator. Just realized, okay, Kunju is also a PhD student at Thammasat University. She's trained how to be anthropologist, how to be ethnographer. And Ajahn Tam also mentioned in her talk as the anthropologist, Anna of course, and I myself. Anthropologists also contribute in the history when we mention about the fight of people who were violated and who were in the situation of skin color discriminatory part in America, and also in many parts of the world. It's not only about racist issues. The academics contribute by their own knowledge. At the same time, not only taking the knowledge and distribute the knowledge, but we have to learn. and we have to learn from the community. But at the same time, we also got harsh feedback, like you write something because you want to get promotion as the academic position, right? You want to come up into being professor, full professor, and then when you interview, then you go back. So we are still in suffering situation. So this is very difficult, and we realize this is not easy. Part of being academics, I also mentioned slightly in my short video that I'm an ordinary people. I come from the village. I also have family members who are not academic. Basically, they run the small business. There are people who also know things that I don't know much. So this is the way that I see it as the community members. We're living now in Bangkok, but I also still use media and also different other mediums to communicate with the society. They support me. For example, in the case when I was criticized from the interview talking about women's rights in Islam, and then many stones thrown to me. You are too feminist. You are Muslim, you cannot be feminist. And 6 months later, one of my students also provided a platform for me to speak. We can be feminists, and at the same time we can be Muslims. And we share things online, we share in the interview. And then one of the family members also report to me, you know, there are 2 people in our village who rode a motorcycle to our house by saying that, oh, we support her because she speaks on behalf of herself. She doesn't speak on behalf of religion at all because she already quote, this is her ideas. But at the same time, she doesn't reject that Islam is also try to make people equally. And it's because of interpretation, we have to learn and we have to discuss on that. So I impress on those people who are common villagers and rode motorcycle to my family house. And my family also report to me, call me at the night. This is the way that we talk, we communicate with the world. That what I can do as merely, not only or not merely academics, but also as general and ordinary people.
Yes, thank you so much for your questions and also for the very great input from our colleagues here. To me, I work at Mahidol for the past 14 years as a lecturer, but we also practitioner. We do the inter-religious dialogue in the Deep South for conflict transformation. And we acknowledge there's a lot of LGBTQ people that would like to be more active, play a more active role into the peace building. And we're trying to have them into our platform. Because we believe that their voice also important, and we need to amplify those voices. And we have this platform to have them join. And then, of course, like when we talk about, again from the book of Lederer, he talked one chapter about the theory of critical yeast. You know, yeast are really put in a bread, in a dough of bread, and you put a little bit of yeast, but it makes the whole dough rise up, right? You make a bread or you make pizza. So you need to add the right yeast into that dough. So for us, we have these LGBTQ people connected with the members of wider communities that seem to have an open-minded attitude towards LGBTQ. So they are our yeast, right? So we connect them together, and then somehow the effect can roll over into some wider community, because these people, our yeast, they also have their own network behind them, so they can, really incorporate the voice of LGBTQ people into their work, and also create more platform for those people to learn and share and to be present out there. And then, slowly the community will somehow open their hearts and mind to accept them. Because this kind of thing, when you face with tradition, with attitude that being socialized by generation from generation, it's kind of hard to change, right? That's why when we advocate for human rights or rights of women or LGBTQ rights, it's not only just about the law. Some countries have a perfect law in place, right? And they have also structure to make sure that this authority gonna implement those laws. But there's a lot of violation going on because that at the attitude level or relationship level, people are not really accepting. If you are close friend with someone, you will like that friend of yours to enjoy some of the things that you enjoy, right? So that kind of attitude has been cultivated by mutual interaction, meaningful interaction, friendship. So we are at the Institute of Human Rights Study, we're trying to promote that kind of relationship. We do cross-community peace building to enhance the capacities of the people and also make sure that they become friends. So once you become friends, it's easier to make things better for your friend's situation, right? So not only just law structure, but you also need relationship. So this is our strategy. Even though with the LGBTQ rights or minority rights or whatever, we try to put them into the platform and also to connect them with other people once you get to know more. Because if you don't know a person, the unknown is fearful for you, right? If you don't know that person, you tend to keep the distance. And once you get to know that person more, you feel, oh, they are like us, they're just like us. They also want happiness, they also hate to suffer. So that our approach, right, make them interact more, learn more from one another, and then they can really start something great within themselves, and then collaborate more. So that's our strategy. Thank you.
I would like to add a little about the second question that I forgot of working outside the academics and how it communicates the academia and social movements. And I think this is one of the characteristics of the female activists and intellectuals that I interviewed, that they have both sides. They are connecting two worlds that are apparently disconnected, because there's many people in social movements that is kind of reactive to the academia, and at the same time there are many people in the academia that thinks that science should be neutral and should not be discussed outside the university, and has this idea, technocratic idea of scientific superiority. I think what Ampon brought of anthropology is important, because anthropology has this perspective of listening, and what Tom brought about listening the unheard voices. But of course it's not that simple. We know that we live in a society that is unequal, and we are navigating those waters, right? So in terms of the idea of the book and how it was, it became an object, the process has a few political and epistemological assumptions. That, for example, I could have come to Thailand, and me, myself, being from the south, from the global south, but we study the same European authors. We were talking like the same classics, and I could have reproduced this within another context and just continue feeding this tradition. But I found much more interesting. Of course, we can use also those authors because they are interlocutors, but at the same time, creating like a fermenting space for voices of people who is doing interesting things and is producing change and is creating concept to fortify their authorship, that they are already authors that have their trajectories. So I think this is a little of the contribution of this book, is bringing more plurality to the voices of the academia, and at the same time giving references to social movements. For example, the movement for the bikinis, the movement of women who are looking for and struggling for peace in the Deep South, the Rohingya women. There are references also for example, public policies. So it's like always like a bridging movement from one side to the other.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions from the audience? Do we also open the chance for the people from Facebook Live to raise questions?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very important issue that this book that Ajahn Anna kindly crafted, I would say, is a craft work, very beautiful, and it collects all the voices from different continents who care about the same subjects together and strengthen the voice. And this is the weapon that academic people can produce, which is the writing, the talks, bringing people together, creating network. And I hope this fulfill the mission of academic people as the social activist as well as the researcher. This is very impressive. I would like to thank you, Ajahn Anna, Dr. Amporn Manden, Dr. Supatne, for kindly coming here together and introducing this book that you contribute. And thank you, the audience at C Junction. Also from the Facebook Live who are watching us. The next session, we will still have a discussion here, and Dr. Anna will also give the signature for the people who would like to take these books. If you have any last word to say, please do have.
Actually, we also like to share our ebook link and also QR code. I will share the slide, and then in our room here in C Junction, Tan is already prepare our team friends here, prepare the QR code and distribute to all of us, and I will show the screen later on. Any other questions? I heard that there's a question from the host.
Oh.
C Junction.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing this wonderful story today. I commend all of your hard work, and it's really interesting to hear, especially with the Global South Cooperation, the situation in Latin America as well. So I have two questions. One would be more in line with what we do here at C Junction. Will there be an opportunity to further explore the lives of more women in the region and expand the research? That would be my first question. And the other one that I'm sure that if I start reading this book, I will gain more insights as well. But from your experience in the exchange, meeting in seminars or collaborating on your work, what are some of the similarities and differences in terms of social lives of South American and Southeast Asian peace builders, especially women and people in the LGBTQ communities? Yeah, those would be my two questions.
Hello. Thank you for your questions. And I think it will be, of course, I think it will be amazing to continue thinking about compiling narratives of women who are producing change. I always think about the social leaders who have not, who don't have their feet in the academia but are connected to professors that are activists, right? So, and from those narratives come stories that are very rich. That's an experience that we have in Brazil, that we made a small book with a homage to 21 social leaders that work with us in a project confronting COVID-19. It's not combating COVID-19 because we could not combat it, but we should confront it in a community basis. So we had the narratives, we compiled the narratives of people who work in our project as researchers, leaders and researchers with scholarships paid by the National Council, because this factor is also important, right? The recognition, the financial recognition of the creation of knowledge. So they crafted with us this collective book. And I invite you to take a look at this. Maybe I can give you the link later to share it also. It has the narratives of those leaders and some portraits also with some objects that they found important. Actually, this experience was the inspiration for this dialogue. So I think it can advance, maybe, I don't know, it can go to other ways. I think it's an open way or an open path, right? And about peace building, I was thinking that, of course, from my perspective as an anthropologist, with some work in health, public health, human rights, we don't hear so much this concept. I don't know if it has to do with our tradition that we have a more passionate. Like we were talking the other day in the class, we have this. We focus more in confronting, actually, in confronting. And I was thinking that, hola. Oh. And I was thinking that it would be very interesting, actually, to put perspectives of dialogue. I don't know if in peace building, I think if you say peace building, they will say, no, this peace we don't want, because this is when we speak about peace, usually is police pacifying the favelas, you know? Yeah, so I don't know how will be the approach and how it will have a dialogue with social movements. I think probably they have the concepts to explain this. Maybe it will be sit in the same table to have a conversation that you said a little ago. I heard this so much from social leaders. Sit on the same table to have a conversation and something's gonna come out of this. So, yeah, that would be. And thank you so much for your question.
Is it loud? Okay, so the first question when you ask whether we can hear voices of women more, actually we maybe can talk about the project we've done with the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation. Three of us just take over the Thailand project because we want to collect a narrative from women peace builder from different regions of Thailand, like in the north, like Jandak, and also Ranawan, we went to Mysore, and then Chayapur for the northeastern region, and also for the southern region that we have the consultation meetings. So that's gonna be our input for this larger project. And they have another nice project going on the same parallel with our project in other ASEAN countries, in the Philippines, in Indonesia, in Brunei, in some other country in the ASEAN region. So you can expect to see that kind of narrative coming out very soon. You know, they already submit all the work right in the Philippines. They collect more than 100 over stories of peace builders in the Philippines. That one is done by Amina, right? Goria, Professor Goria. So we have that piece of work that's coming out soon. So you can listen for more stories of the women. All right. So and also when you talk about what are the differences and similarities as Southeast Asian, South Asian, and also Latin American, like I mentioned earlier, they face the same situation. We born into the society that has a lot of limitations and is not fully developed just yet. So many things are in place. The ideas, the liberalism or those kind of stuff is still under construction, so-called. So we face a lot of challenges like male-dominant society. Women are expected to perform certain roles, not this and that role. But so far we see a lot of progress, right? Women, but of course, come from our effort to unite with one another and also to connect with some other actors that can help us, elevate our situation. So that is the way the strategies that women in this region do. So that's why they have a lot of creativity, and they also have a lot of minds, a lot of ideas to move this thing forward. But it has to come from within. I feel women in this region, we kind of having a power within us, even though we are dominated by, we also, stopped by so many powerful forces, but we managed to wade through all those obstacles. So I have to thank them for their experience and also their courage to do that. It inspires us all when we go to the Deep South. We see them working so hard at Pilamai, and some other women in the Deep South. For years they've been working tirelessly to move for peace, right? So that they inspire us to work more. So that's a different level that we can work for in the grassroots or at the middle level, actors or the top level, track 1, track 2, or track 3. So we have to collaborate so that we can see a better, bigger impact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Apart from the case study that I took is major, basically in Mesor, in the western part of Thailand, between Myanmar and Thailand. But as Ajahn Supat mentioned about the stories of women in the northeast and also in the south, where we collect the data. Also, we invite people who are not the interviewees, but we know them. We know that they're peace builder. The voice of women is there. For example, women from the Upper South who participate in Pearson Federation. Their story is surprise to women in the Deep South in particular. Women in the Deep South of Thailand never heard that this group of people were also in very difficulties. And then we learn from each other. When we invite women from the northeast of Thailand, they never know, people in the Deep South never know that friends in Chayapum were in jail, were prisoned, because they own the land, which the government said that this is the land of the state, which is the land that their great-grandfathers, great-grandmother lived there for long. So this is a very crucial point that we bring groups of people from different regions when we talk about the case studies of women peace builder in Thailand. Because the media project only in the Deep South, because it's the initial project that the government support, NGOs, international NGOs and donors support, many programs, many projects in the South. Because it's kind of another business that run over the programs. And at the same time, many policy from the government also start there in the South. When we talk about protection, violent extremism, when we talk about women, peace and security, these are two agendas, international agendas, always portrayed and start as the initial project of the government. And there are numbers of money budgeted go over that area. And people in different other parts of the country also feel like, oh, the people in the South got a lot of support from the government. Why the government don't care about us? It creates another problems in the society. So we have to echo the voice of those people. Of course, their voice is already there in the Kurd community, in the groups of people who don't, but at the same time, we have to highlight these are another form of women peace builders. And conflict is not only violent conflict, fighting and wars. There are different other forms of violence, non-traditional violence especially. The second question regarding the differences and the similarities of groups of people in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, and also in South Asia. As Anna mentioned in the beginning, because she's here, she comes from Latin America, she spent the project that's supported by UNESCO, right? And she found out from the stories of those women she interviewed, it's quite similar towards the group of people who are living in Latin America. In my class, Anna was challenged by my students asking why you care so much and worry so much and against so much with the colonizer, with the colonial order. And then that's interesting point, because the Thai student I don't know, there are many other students as well who care and learn and also serious on this topic. But because in the class, the student feel like why Anna has to fight a lot on this, to seeking for the justice and eradicate those kind of heritage, transfer until today on behalf of the developed on behalf of justice and equality. And then I also realized this is differences because we need to contextualize. But at the same time, there are some similarities as well within this kind of question or situation, especially when we talk about hierarchical system, domination, power overs, or different other related notions that we are facing even until today. We talk about superpower, we talk about world power countries. So now we are facing either direct or indirect, especially from the policy of the new government in the US or different other countries, as we know and see from the media. And what about women? How could we contribute? Of course, talking about gender is not talking only about women, we talk about power relations. And we realize that women who are neglected, their voice, their actions, but at the same time we learn from the case studies that there are so many groups of women who already mobilize, work very hard and support, and also for support from male counterparts, from male groups, from young people. So this is a kind of things that we like to emphasize, and we like to see not only the differences, that we have to contextualize how to find a solution, how to cooperate. But at the same time, we found many similarities in the study that we learn from each other. Any other questions?
Well, I may have one question for Ajahn Anna. Since you are producing this book, and you said that you are using the decolonizing lens, and how do you make it work when everything in the daily life has been micro-colonized? How is it gonna work and how is challenge you?
Thank you too. Yeah, the micro-decolonization is very difficult to see it, but once you see it, you cannot stop seeing it everywhere. So one of the paradoxes of this, the fieldwork and the research work I did here was that I learned that Thailand has not been formally colonized by Europe, and it was for me like, wow, this is a free place. And then the land of the free. So I came with this idea, and then I started to talk to people, and then I realized that there are other forms of colonization that are not directly linked to the European power. We have some colonization of the European power. We were speaking about this, right? We can identify internal colonization, and then we can identify Chinese colonization, Japanese colonization. So it becomes another landscape. I think it helped me to reframe my perspectives on colonization that were kind of monolithical, Europe, with the base in Europe and in the United States, of course. I think those differences can also strengthen us because we see how pervasive it is, how it is under everything we do, actually we do, and how it is in our academic strategies, and how it is linked to, how it is linked to professional promotion, so we live with this, and I think what we do, we have this concept of redução de riscos, redução de danos, harm reduction in public health. So I think it's a kind of harm reduction that we try to do. There's people there are positions that are possible also that are more radical, of radical transformation of society, and then you have positions that are trying to understand and to navigate those contradictions. But I think that I would like to know how, actually is something that the reading of social scientists and historians that are discussing decolonization from a Latin American perspective, how is it read by Thai people? If it has something that can be interesting, like Aníbal Quijano, Enrique Dussel, that are authors that are discussing this, but from a Latin American perspective, how it could help to strengthen movements here. That's something like a desire I have to see happening, you know.
Okay, I got a signal that
No comments from Facebook.
no.
We have no comments online.
Yes. So again, I have to say thank you very much for the audience here at the Junction and everyone who are watching us from the Facebook Live. I would like to thank the host of the event, Junction, and also the Center for Contemporary Social and Cultural Studies, Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology of Thammasat University. Thank you for your kind support and for all kind of support that you make this event happen. And thank you for the speakers.
Thank you, the moderator, as well.